few more things I'd like to share with you, then we'll open it up for more Q&A. Touch screen, you can write over a document, highlight, annotate. There are lots of great features that you can go out and get. You can get transparencies. You can add GIFs, animated GIFs to your Jamboard. You can find, if you Google Cuisenaire rods and Jamboard, you can find a Cuisenaire template if you're using that for lower grades. If you're doing upper grade math, you could find graph functions and algebra tiles. Speaking of upper grade math, I can't speak highly enough of Equatio, which is it's a Google Chrome extension that allows you to easily create mathematical equations, formulas, and quizzes in either a Google Doc, a Google Sheet, or a Google Form. Now, how do I use it? But it doesn't. What about Jamboard? What you want to do is you want to go ahead and open up a Google Doc. Use your Equatio to either type or handwrite your equation. It turns it into text automatically, and then you can copy from your Google Doc into your Jamboard. And so if you're teaching upper grade math, this is a great way to easily write your math formulas that you want to have your students do on a whiteboard and work interactively with. For language arts, again, here we see highlight and annotate. You can paste an image of the text into the Jamboard and then allow the students to highlight and annotate that text according to your directions. There's also an example of having the students create a classroom book, the elephant bird. There's some other things in here. I'm just going to kind of go through some of these slides pretty quickly. You will have a copy of the slide deck, so you can check these out individually, at your own pace. Elementary grades, this is a really good one here. I'll drop a copy of something that's very similar to this in here that you may find useful. If I have the right, yeah, here we go. I think this is it. Yeah, all right. Again, make sure that everyone can edit. I may regret this, but what the heck. It is for the PD. Okay, take one for the team. All right, here's a great elementary board I dropped into the text. You can go in and play with that, and you can see how you can have sticky notes with numbers, and then you can have the students arrange those numbers in proper order. If you're working with students at a very low, younger grade, where they're working with CVC words or with silent E endings, you can do things with, you can see an example of how you can do things with that as well. And then just down here at the end, so I want to get to the last board here. This is the Google's Teacher Center site, and this site has pages and pages and pages of examples of things that you can do with Jamboard, more than we can certainly cover during this session, but there's a link in the slide deck, and I'm also going to drop a link to this as well in the chat.
And I am reposting how to get a copy of the slide deck.
Okay, great.
Yeah, of course I forgot to link it.
I'm sorry, so I think it meant that yes, I would have them make a copy of the Jamboard. Oh, one thing I did not mention, and I apologize for this. I didn't even think about it till just now. So let's say you give the students an individual their own copy of the Jamboard, and you said on slide 3, do today's work on slide 3. One of the great things about Jamboard, and I'm just going to share one really quick. Let me share this slide, and I'm going to zoom in over here to the 3 dots, okay? And your student can save this frame as an image. Okay? It basically takes a picture of the frame. Then in Google Classroom, they would attach the image of this frame to their assignment, and you get just that frame turned in. Hopefully that answers your question. How do I block them from writing on mine? You would have to change the sharing permissions from everyone can comment or edit to view only. Sorry, I went through that so pretty fast. Just trying to be aware of our time limits. Are there any other questions?
We do have a question. Somebody is interested in Jamboard and like for teaching a second language. So where would they go to find, like you were saying something about looking for pre-made Jamboards? Right.
So the link that says Teacher Center with Google.com level 0, that is it's basically a Google book on Jamboard, and there may be some information there. If you're using passages, and you can always import an image of a passage into the frame on Jamboard, and you can have students work with that image. I don't know. I'm just kind of speculating. I teach 3rd grade, so I'm not sure what you're doing with second languages.
Can I talk about that real quick? I'm sorry, sure. I'm the one that asked about that question.
Yeah.
So like, say that I want like my chart of like conjugations, kind of like for English. So say for Spanish, like I want them to write like yo, tu, and then I want them to fill in like on Jamboard, I want them to fill in like the actual conjugations for a certain verb or stuff like that, or like translating a passage or something like that. I get that what you're saying about the passage. That's perfect. For like, say I want them to translate this passage for like a Spanish 2 class. Yeah. But for Spanish 1, like I want to use it like, say I have the chart of the 5 conjugations, and like I put yo, tu, I type that in, and I want them to write out how to conjugate, say the word comer into different conjugations.
Okay.
Like,
so
does that make sense?
I'm gonna take a risk here, and I'm gonna go over here to, let's see, where's a good board I can use? I'm going to go over here to the welcome Jamboard, and I'm going to add a board. I'm going to use this last board, number 4. Okay. And I'm going to use my pen tool, and I'm going to grab the marker because it has a pretty decent, actually I'm going to use the text box, and I'm going to write my instructions here. Okay. And it looks like, uh-oh, wait a minute. But then you just grab the text box and it'll resize. If you want the text to be a little bigger, grab it down here and it'll increase it that way. If you want it to be a little smaller, same thing, grab it by the corner. All right. If you want to get rid of it, or if you need to edit it, you'll see the 3 dots up here on the top. If you want to spin it, give it a little flair and spin it around, you can do it like that. And if you make a mistake and go, wait a minute, that's not what I want, over here on the, let's see if I can, up over here, there's always the undo. Okay. Now then, let's say I've written my instructions and there's a certain area of the board that I want them to write on. So here's my marker tool. I'm going to hold down the shift key, and then I'm going to draw a straight line across. You'll see the line is straight. And then when I'm done, I just lift my my left click, and I've snapped a straight line. Now I can, if you have a image of a document, you can import that image, or you can use sticky notes for the words you want them to conjugate. And of course, I'm not a foreign language person, but let's say, here's your list of words. I can snap another line from here down to the bottom. And so here's your list of words over here, and then they would do their work here. Does that perhaps give you an example of something you could do?
Yes, I could, like a T-chart. That would be great for like a T-chart. Also, what I'm saying is like a table, like kind of like a table. Like, could you bring in like a table, like say from like Google, like a table of like 5, and I put yo, tú, ella, usted, nosotros,
Right.
that kind of stuff.
The thing
and
with
then they can write it out next to it.
Okay, so with import an image, they do have to be image files.
Okay.
So it's not like you could just create a table and document in Doc and then paste the Doc into Jamboard. There is one workaround that you could do. Okay, one is you basically
create a bunch of
create a text box and then paste inside the text box. That's one way you can get it. If you have a table and say like a Google Doc, you could then get the table into Jamboard by pasting inside a text box.
Got it. Okay, that makes my life easier. I just thought there was like a template like that I could use that already kind of has that set up. But with the lines, I could make it to where I could do all 5 and then put like yo, tú, like that, and then they can write next to it.
Right.
I think I can do that way. I didn't know that there was an ability to draw lines on there. So that pretty much answered my question.
Yeah. So again, you want to hold down the shift key before you start drawing your line. And then when you're done with your line, release your the left. I think it's the left click on my mouse. It's the left click. I'm using a mouse. It just makes it easier. But if you're using your trackpad on your laptop, it'd be on the left side of your trackpad. Did I miss any? I'm not paying attention to the chat at all, so you're gonna have to help me, Michelle.
So Dwayne, before I got kicked out, we had a question about can you put text inside a shape?
Yes, you can. So let me reshare. And let's see, welcome to Jamboard for PD. Yeah, okay, because that's the one I'm using. And I'm just going to go here. I'm going to create a new so if I'm at let's say this was the last frame of the Jamboard. If I continue to click to the right, I'm just going to add more frames. So just be aware of that. So here's my shape tool. And let's say I want to use the box tool. Yeah, just click and it drops in there. It makes a perfect box every time. And then let's say I have a text box I want over here, and here's my text. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to grab my text, and it can be kind of tricky because you need to make sure you have the 4 arrows you see here, and I can drag it in, and there's my text inside my shape. If for some reason the text disappears, let's see if I color my shape. Oh, there's my text, good. And if I wanted to fill my shape, I can't fill my shape, but I can change my text color. Okay. You can bring, let's say for whatever reason I didn't want the text there, I want something else there, or I want only, you do have some choice of sending things from front to back, like kind of like you do in slides, if you're familiar with doing that. Straight line several times and couldn't. Make sure you're holding the shift key down first before you start to draw your line. It's really good if you're doing like triangles or shapes for or polygons for math. You can quickly draw a polygon in math at the lower grades. Or if you have something really fancy, I would recommend that you probably just make an image file of that shape if you're demonstrating like cubes or something of that nature, and then just import that image file into your Jamboard. Can you make a Jamboard ahead of time? Yes. Yes, you certainly can. You can make, I think there used to be a limit to how many Jamboards you could actually have in your account. But since we are a Google Suite district, I have not reached that limit yet. So because I have all the jams from my students, they're all populated everywhere. Where do you go to get pre-made jams?
I'm doing the link right now.
Okay.
There we go. Because that was the teacher center, yes?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, I relinked that. Earlier there was a question about Zoom and Spotlight. So just really quickly, I just wanted to, when you're on Zoom and you bring your cursor over the thumbnail of a student, you get 3 dots. And those 3 dots open up a menu. One of them is Spotlight for everyone. And that will enlarge the window of that particular student or yourself, and everyone who's participating, it overrides whatever layout setting they have. So that is for me really helpful when I really need to make sure my students are seeing something. And then I also posted 2 YouTube videos. One is Zoom seating chart that lets you move the windows around so that you can have them in one spot. It's not as good as it could be, but apparently they are working on making it better. And then I also did the Spotlight video. There was also a question that was about the Zoom whiteboard, and there was a question about, can't we do this in Zoom? So for those of you who are using Zoom, when you click on share screen, one of your options is a whiteboard. It does not have as many tools as Jamboard. You can do text, you can draw, you can put a stamp of something. You can also upload a picture and write on it, but it doesn't have the sticky notes. It doesn't have the ability to use like the uploading of the pictures from the kids' point of view. I believe the whiteboard is only available to the host, but I am not using that particular feature of Zoom due to I have 1st and 2nd graders. They're pretty young, and I'm not ready to have them sharing a screen yet. We're still working on, staying focused and not interrupting by unmuting yourself.
To Brenner Lucas, I apologize for having too many undefined links. I was trying to get them in quickly. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Also, you can prepare Jamboards in advance. They can be a little hard to find in Drive, even though they're supposed to reside in Drive. The easiest way to find, what I try to do is I try to, whenever I open a Jamboard to prepare it, whatever Drive folder I'm working from, let's say I have a a math folder, and I'm creating exit tickets for my math program for Unit 3. So I'll have a folder unit, I'll just call the Jamboard Unit 3 exit tickets or whatever in my math folder. And I'm gonna say that usually I can find it that way, and let me go ahead and stop presenting. The other way, the other way is always up here at the Waffle. If you click here on the Waffle and you scroll down, you will find the Jamboard tile. And when you click there on the Jamboard tile, you will see, it's going to take a while, all the Jamboards that you've created, and also all the Jamboards that my students have. So, because of course you have your Google Classroom Drive folder connected in here as well. So this can be a little complicated in terms of trying to find a board that you prepared in advance. But you can also, as I mentioned, you can always create a new board by hitting the plus button down here. And that will create a new Jamboard for you. It's untitled. The difficulty being is you can't say move it to this particular folder, this, in Drive. So that's why I mentioned that my preferred way of creating a new Jamboard is to actually do it from Google Drive. And in the folder where you want to be able to find the board later on. I'm really taxing my internet today with this presentation, so sorry, being a little slow.
Yeah.
So if I think I have, actually, it's just, I'm gonna go back.
I noticed that you can search for Jamboards owned by anyone or owned by you. I just noticed, and it's easier to find the ones you created if you do owned by me.
So you can, so if you do advanced search, if you go into Google or Drive advanced search, the type of file, Jamboard does not show up in here, unfortunately. I don't know why it does not. That's something that needs to go back to. But anything that's owned by me, certainly. And if you, I guess down in here, if you name it Jamboard, you know the name of the item, then you could Jamboard's owned by me. And then it'll just show only the ones that are owned by you if you use that advanced feature in Google Drive. And I think Lori is telling us we need to wrap it up. Make sure
we have the evaluation form. And then really quickly, to share a Jamboard in Google Classroom, would you just share the link?
So if you want each student to have their own copy, each student gets a copy. I'm trying to remember because I've had a student tell me that they had a problem with it, but my understanding is you do not need to change the permissions. You may want to test it out first. But my understanding is you are basically just giving them their own copy to play with and do whatever they need to do with. And I don't think, if I remember correctly, you do not need to change the permissions in order to share a copy or for each student to have their own copy. If you're doing, each student can share with the entire class, and have the entire class be in on it and being interactive, then yes, you do need to change the permissions to everyone can edit. There is a survey that we would really do need for everyone to please fill out at the end of this PD. And Michelle, if you have that available, if you could drop that in the chat, that would be great. I'll try to scroll up to see if there are any other questions that I may have missed.
Yeah, I'm limited to how far back I can go.
Okay. Oh, okay, so I just saw the Jamie, yes, sorry. Make sure that you have selected the pen tool first. If you're getting a hand, chances are you still have the pointer tool selected. And then can I make students make their own copy in Doc? Are you started, Jamie, are you starting in Jamboard and you want to move what their content to a document? You're muted. Jamie, you're muted. You can always use Control D to unmute.
Wait.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I put documents into Google Classroom and I want them to work on them, I just tell all the high school students, make your own copy. Before can they do that with Jamboard? Don't know. They're high school students, so
it's chunky. It's really chunky. You're better off if you're using Google Classroom. I think it's an easier process when you assign the Jamboard. When you add the link to the assignment, change it to copy for every. I think it's copy.
Oh, okay.
Every student gets a copy.
Okay.
Okay.
As
I mentioned, if you have several tiles or boards in the Jamboard, and you want them to submit just one board, they can do that by going up to the three dots in the upper right-hand corner of the board, and they will create an image file, and then they attach that image file to their assignment in Google Classroom. I have not done that myself. I just know that it's available.
Alexandra?
Oh,
Alexander.
Alexander, I'm sorry.
Oh no, we also have an Alexandra who
Yes.
Alexandra, I believe Control D will unmute you.
That is correct. It's not letting you. Okay.
Okay.
Not sure why, but yeah, so Alexander, if you could just tap on your screen or move your cursor anywhere on your screen, you should see a white toolbar pop up at the bottom, and then you should see your red microphone. If you can move your cursor to that and click on it, that should unmute you, or holding down the control button plus the D key at the control plus D, control and D, I should say. Should unmute. It looks like we may have lost her.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, she might have been trying to refresh.
Right.
Yeah.
Hi, I think it works. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there you are.
So I use Jamboard a lot. This is I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it, but it's saved me so much time. If you guys have heard of Cami App, especially those of you in high school or the Alexander wanting to conjugate verbs, it turns any and I think you can upload it into Jamboard. I'm not sure, but it turns any workbook page into a writable PDF. So if you guys look up Cami App, and it works with Google Classroom, I think you might be able to use it with Jamboard. It's with a K, K-A-M-I.
Oh, yes, Cami.
Yes, love it. So it's like saved my butt and saved me from like text boxes and everything. Sometimes, you just want to like them to do something quick. So yeah, it might work with Jamboard. Not sure, haven't tried it, but it does work with Google Classroom. I can put it in the chat.
That would be awesome. It reads your PDF. So if you take a picture, it reads your PDF, or it.
Does it need, Alexandra, does it need to be an image file for it to do that, or can it be just a plain PDF?
It can just be a PDF. So I use Adobe Scan. It's an app. I'll put this in the text box in the chat. I use Adobe Scan. It's an app on my phone, and I just take a picture of whatever worksheet I want to use. Then I email it to myself, open it in my email, and then open it with Cami. And then you just save it into your Google Drive, and you can use it, and the kids can write on it.
Great.
You just need to make a copy for each student. That's all.
There's been a lot of activity in the chat, and I have to apologize if we missed your question.
Yeah.
We are getting close to the end, and I know that. And Michelle, were you able to drop in the? Yes. So there's.
Yeah, I did drop in the evaluation, but I can do it again.
Yes.
So it's closer to the bottom.
Thank you. Yeah, at 2:49, and also she just dropped it in at 2:56. There is a bit.ly to an evaluation form. If you would please fill out that evaluation form.
Yeah.
The folks over at EdTech would greatly appreciate it.
And while we're talking about scannable things, I have an app on my phone called CamScan. It's our CamScanner, and it will take a photo from your phone. It will convert it either to a PDF, or you can convert it to an OCR, which allows the read and write extension to read it to your students. So when I had some struggling students who needed to hear, say, the social studies textbook, I could take a photo of it, convert it to an OCR. So that's called CamScanner. There's all sorts of them out there that, so CamScanner, when I click on it, it's an app on my phone. It accesses my camera. I take a picture of a book. So if I wanted to say, take a picture of, my resource book, it converts it to either a PDF or something called OCR. And I don't know what OCR stands for, but somebody from Adaptive Technology taught me this. When we use the read and write program, which the district has, it's an extension that allows the students to read, it reads aloud to the students. So if they open up a website with the read and write extension, it will read it aloud to them. But if you want a worksheet to do that, it has to be in something called OCR. And Adaptive Technology are the people to talk to, because that's who I learned this from. Okay, awesome. I did not character reader. Okay.
Recognition, actually.
Recognition. Okay.
Thank you, Kevin, for that. It's been a long time since I've worked with OCR stuff.
Yeah.
Really
I'm
quick,
gonna just put it in the It's the department's called Adaptive Technology, and they are they're the ones, when a student has an IEP who needs assistance, they're the ones that set it up. In the district.
And while Michelle's looking for that, I want to make a quick plug for the EdTech Google Classroom. If you have not joined the EdTech Google Classroom, talk to your TTL to get the code to do that, or look up the EdTech Learning Launchpad. The code is there. I don't have it readily handy, or I would drop it in a text, but there are so many fabulous resources already out there on their Google Classroom. I can't say enough about the value of what's there. It's great. So if you have not had a chance to check that out, please do yourself a favor and check out the EdTech Google Classroom.
Okay, I found the link. It's actually assistive technology. And I put the link to their homepage.
And folks, it is 3 o'clock, so we don't want to hold you any later than
Yep, you are free to
want
go.
to be here.
Thank you so much. This was really great.
Thank you for coming, and sorry for all the tech issues. This was